Happy New Year, everyone. I apologize for us starting a little bit late. We're glad you're here with us tonight. We're going to start with our student representative leading us in a moment of silence and the Pledge of Allegiance.
If everyone can please pause for the moment of silence. Now can everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. So before we begin, I just want to say a thanks to Ms. Irby and the Candies Creek team for hosting us tonight. We're always excited to be out in the schools. Also, we have a couple of visitors with us tonight that I wanted to mention, and so that you knew who they were. From the Bradley County School Board of Education, we have Vicki Beatty and Amanda Lee. They're here evaluating us as a board as a part of our process for becoming a board of distinction. So welcome. All right, as chairman of the Cleveland City School Board of Education, I'm committed to running an orderly meeting, an efficient meeting, treating everyone with respect. Board members will be provided an equal voice for all matters, and they should communicate through the director of schools for addressing his staff. A couple of reminders for parents and the community. Board of Education policies can be found on our website at clevelandschools.org. When there, you click on the district, the Board of Educations, and you select policies. Our meetings are not public forum. However, the board has made accommodations for a city resident, a Cleveland City Schools employee, or parent guardian of a Cleveland City Schools student to address the board via a couple ways. Those being outlined in School Board Policy 1.404, which includes two options, along with the requirements listed. Those options appearing before the board via a pre-meeting request, or addressing the board on agenda items via a same-day request. So those are options for addressing the board. We don't have any public comments for tonight, so we're going to move forward with the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. Is there anything that you want to pull off of the consent agenda?
Yeah, I wanted to look at taking the revised annual agenda off the consent. I had a question about one of the items listed.
Any others? All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda minus the, I just went blank here.
Annual agenda.
The annual agenda. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. So next on the agenda is the director's update, and we're going to turn that over to Dr. Russell Dyer.
All right. Well, first of all, good afternoon and Happy New Year to everyone. Glad to have a big crowd here, and hope that you stay throughout the meeting. But if I was a betting man, you might leave a little earlier than we do. But that's okay. Glad to have you here tonight, and Happy New Year to everyone that's part of our school system. Just a personal reflection quickly. As you're most likely aware by now, I have accepted a position in Collierville Schools. That part is going through the contract piece now, and soon I do expect that the Collierville Schools Board of Education will vote on that contract. This is it's an interesting time in my both personal and professional career, as I've stated before. And I'm not going to speak a whole lot to this right now because I'll have time to do this later. But I really appreciate so many people in this community who have reached out personally to congratulate me and to just make me feel really special in a lot of different ways about this particular move that's coming up. As I said in a statement earlier, it's a bittersweet time for me because I love Cleveland. I love this community. We have a great school system, fantastic students, teachers, administrators, staff, our school board, top notch. So it's a very difficult decision that I've had to make, but For me personally and professionally right now, this is something that I just could not pass up, was looking at this particular job over in West Tennessee and quickly making some decisions to move back that direction in a couple of months. So I just wanted to say that up front and thank everybody for the support and for reaching out, and I really do appreciate that. And that's coming from the bottom of my heart. I really do appreciate that. I'll say more later. I'm going to move on with some other pieces right now, but we do have some Blue Star Award winners that I wanted to announce. One was today. We surprised somebody today, and that was always fun. But first of all, in December, we recognized Melissa Bishop. Melissa Bishop is the assistant principal over at Yates Primary. Does a great job, and it was fun to go over and surprise her with the Blue Star Award. And then today, we surprised Rhonda Weeks over at Stewart. So both these folks had numerous nominations from folks from the school system. Even some students were involved in those nominations. So really neat to go and surprise them and just make them feel really good about the jobs they're doing. And they are making a huge difference in the lives of those students and staff every single day. Also want to remind, first off, we're out of school tomorrow. So just a quick update on that. So school is closed tomorrow. Bradley County closed as well, and a bunch of surrounding school systems that are closed tomorrow due to the high winds and it looks like pretty torrential rain coming in the morning, so we will be closed for that. 12-month employees will be on a 2-hour delay, and we'll be working in the offices after that. But I did want to make sure that everyone also knew Monday, January 15th is Martin Luther King Day, and the schools will be closed. I did want to point out we had both Mr. Tucker and Gloria Scott Richmond come and speak to our fine arts teachers on Monday about, or Friday of last week, about Martin Luther King Week. That's actually a week of celebration at Lee University. So I'm sure that you can get on their website, the calendar, and find various events happening at Lee that you might want to take part in next week as well. One update for me, I have been selected, and this is well before all the other parts happened in my own personal life there, but I've been selected to go on a lifetime memory mission trip. And it's a trip to Guatemala where we're going to be building a school. And I'll be using vacation days for that. So, but it's an opportunity for me to go down, and we have a lot of students that are in our school system from Latin American countries, including Guatemala. So I'm going to have a chance to meet with them, I think later this week or next week, and sit down and learn about their culture before I go to their home country and help build schools. And I'm going to be able to connect with them while I'm there, I hope, as long as the connectivity is well established. But I think that'll be a lot of fun. I'll bring back a lot of pictures and memories with that. So something I'm looking forward to, and something that's going to be coming up fairly soon. The legislative session starts back real soon in Nashville. And just for anyone who might want to know what our Tennessee School Board Association is thinking as far as legislation, or the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, you can find that information on those websites. I know our school board will have various legislative efforts and connections with our local legislators. I've already had connections with them in certain ways. I know Mr. Tucker has as well, talking about potential legislation that's going to be going through in Nashville. So we're going to stay on top of that. A lot happens coming up very soon in the world of education, and a lot of other topics as well, but we're going to be really keen to pay attention to the education side of that. National School Board Appreciation Week is coming up real soon as well, January 21st to the 27th. We're going to have a lot of special little surprises that I won't go into right now that will be happening. And our school board, I said it earlier, but I really do mean this. This is an outstanding group of folks that have given a lot of time and effort to being part of something that's really special, which is Cleveland City Schools. You know, when you run for office, you might hear, it's only one meeting a month. That's a lot more than that. So there's a lot of different activities and things that we are part of and they're part of, whether it's something that's required or something they just choose to go to a basketball game or a bowling event or a drama or whatever the case may be. So we really do appreciate the work you do. And we'll celebrate that more toward the end of the end of the month. And then one other celebration that's happening, actually, I think tomorrow's the 9th, is National Law Enforcement Day. So we want to appreciate our school resource officers and the great jobs they do. We won't be in school to celebrate them tomorrow, but we'll find another way to do it in another time. And maybe they'll appreciate having a day off from us tomorrow. So that could be good as well. And I think that's all of my updates for tonight. So, Mr. Chairman, back to you.
All
All right, next on the agenda. Next on the agenda, we have Spotlight, and I'm just going to turn it back over to you.
Okay, we have a lot of spotlights tonight, but we're going to start with Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary School. We have a fine crew here to tell us a little more about the school. So, Ms. Irby, take it off.
That's right. I'm trying to make this a little lower for them. So we appreciate the opportunity to be able to come and spotlight our school to you. Again, I feel like we just did this a little bit ago, but this is from a different perspective. I have 3 of our amazing students here that will recap our first semester together. And before we do that, I just want their parents to kind of give us a wave back there. These are all super busy families, super busy kids. And so I'm glad that they were able to take the time to join us this evening. All right, you ready?
Welcome! We're happy to host you all for your January school board meeting. My name is Natalie Palacios.
My name is Jose Zapata.
And I'm Colton Moody, a 5th grader here at Candies Creek. We would like to tell you about some of the things we've been up to during our first semester. As you can see, we've been busy. Looking at the list, you can see that we've had quite a few family events, and we have more planned. One of our favorites was our December event. We had a choir concert, a drama club play, multicultural crafts, snacks, and the best part was Santa. Over 200 people attended.
We also wanted to tell you about our councils. We have 4 councils: Earth, Fire, Water, and Air. Each council has kids from all grades and all different classes. It gives us a chance to get to know lots of different people. Every adult is also in a council. We compete for points all the time, but we also do a lot of team building activities and celebrations. I'm in Fire.
I'm in Earth.
And I'm in Air.
Our school offers several opportunities for kids to be involved before and after school. We have Beta Club, Drama Club, 2 choirs, and Sorchestra. Soon we will begin the Leadership Club, the STEM Club, and we've already started working on our show, 101 Dalmatians. You're all invited to attend one of the performances in April.
We have had lots of other fun events and activities. During December, we had several activities like Holiday Spirit Days, where kids and staff dressed up in Grinchy or holiday themes. And we had a fun call-in trivia games, field trips, parties, and even a lip-sync competition that the office staff won. They performed Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer. We also learned a lot, including how to design, market, and sell items at our 5th grade Market Day event. And for Market Day, I teamed up with one of my friends, Jones Wiseman, and with his creative and artistic drawing skills, we did a carnival game, and the prizes were his drawings.
On this slide, you'll see a few pictures of our favorite activities. It was a fun semester.
Y'all can look at them. They're
Right here, too. They're right here.
Sorry.
They're right in front of you, too.
And finally, we want to thank you for making our school possible. This is our 5th year together, and we've accomplished so much. We've laughed and learned and made lifelong memories. We feel very lucky to be part of Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary School.
Do you have any questions?
Are y'all available to be teachers anytime soon? Because I think you've got it.
I don't think so.
Any other questions?
Great job.
Thank you.
Good job.
Miss Irby, could we get a group picture with the school board with your students? And you. You just want to come right up here? Don't you stand up here and face that way. See, we have a TV right there. Nice job, everybody. All right, moving next, we have a lot of spotlights tonight, and now we get to move into something that's really a lot of fun. We're going to honor our Staff of the Year honorees, and I believe Dr. Elliott's going to start us off, and then we're just going to flow through the different honorees tonight.
All right, yes, it's a great time of the year to be able to recognize a lot of our staff and all the great things they do, not only the ones we're recognizing tonight, but the ones that they represent as well. So we're going to start off with our Supervisor of the Year and Principal of the Year. So I'm going to ask Dr. Cody Raper and Mr. Bob Pritchard to come on up here. And so we are so proud of our administrative team that work strongly together each and every day, from our school level, assistant principals to district level, supervisors and directors. But tonight, they have chosen these two individuals to recognize as the District Principal of the Year, Mr. Bob Pritchard. Mr. Bob Pritchard came on board in 2012 with us. Now serving at Cleveland High, but he's served also as a teacher at Cleveland Middle School and made his way to Mayfield and administrative team there, and now at Cleveland High School. And so we're proud of the work he's doing at Cleveland High School. So congratulations to Mr. Bob Pritchard. Our Director of Innovations came on board in 2010 at Cleveland Middle School, and I was proud to be a part of that staff in 2010 when Cody Raper joined as a teacher over there. And then over the years, it's been great to see him grow and become our Director of Innovation 4 years ago now, I guess, over 4 years ago. And so we're glad that he's a part of the team, and the admin team recognizes him tonight to receive the Supervisor of the Year award from Cleveland City Schools. All right, thank you all. And we'll move on to our next presentation. And it's our building level Teachers of the Year, Ms. O'Brien.
And for the Teachers of the Year, when you come up, if you'll just stand in front of the board here, that way everybody can see you. It'd be great.
We have a
No
great
pressure.
group of teachers today to recognize. So I'll call each one of you up, and you can come get your certificate and then stand with the board. Tracy Lentz, Arnold Memorial. Sonia Norman, Blythe Bauer. She was also named our Elementary Teacher of the Year for the district. Just right here. Angela Gardner, Candies Creek. Our middle school teacher, district teacher of the year, and a representative for building level is Megan McClellan from Cleveland Middle. Also from Cleveland Middle, Jonathan Berger. And our final building level winner from Cleveland Middle School, Amy Trebold. From Cleveland High School, building level representative Joe Miles. Another building level representative from Cleveland High School, Susan Rodriguez. And finally, our high school representative for the district level, and I think I speak for everyone in the room that we are so thankful he is here and back, Mr. Ivan Migovich. All right, I have your district one up there. You can go there. You can. Yeah. Tyler Owenby from Yates Primary. Kaylee Vaught from Ross Elementary. Yolanda Edwards from Mayfield Elementary. And finally, Lindsay Loudermilk from Stewart Elementary. And now Mr. Kaiser will come and do the classified employee. So I think we want to take a picture real quick.
Stay where you are. Thanks, everybody, for coming tonight. I know it's not easy.
Oh. Do 2 rows. Don't worry about us. Go.
They'll figure it out.
Oh, no,
They'll airbrush us in.
thank you.
I got one in the crowd.
Park crasher.
Awesome. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Congratulations.
I think we need to bring that student from Candies Creek here to all of our board meetings to keep us straight.
I
Make
know.
sure you
I
guys
like
know where
that.
you're supposed to be
I
looking.
second that.
This year, we decided it was important for us to officially recognize the contributions of our classified staff in a more formal way. They do work that is essential to the daily operation of Cleveland City Schools, whether they are bus drivers, cafeteria staff, school secretaries, or teacher assistants. Our classified staff play a vital role in making sure that Cleveland City Schools is able to meet the needs, the diverse needs of students in our community. It's important to note that the most important contributions of these individuals are never defined by a job description, but are defined by their heart for service to their schools and our students. This year's honorees are Becky Buckerloo, Arnold Memorial Elementary Teacher Assistant. From Blythe Bower, Miss Amber Howe, Teacher Assistant, who is known for reading and dancing in various costumes out at Carline. Miss Tricia Bozell, who is the Candies Creek Cherokee Elementary School Secretary, who Miss Irby states they would not know what to do if they didn't have her. Miss Sabrina Tejada, who is a special education teacher assistant and does all kinds of things for the Special Services Department at Cleveland High School. From Cleveland Middle School, Miss Amanda Carter, who is the school bookkeeper. I know that she does great keeping Mr. Akiona straight. Miss A.C. English, who is the E.L. Ross Elementary School Secretary. Miss Debbie Lemons, who is the Mayfield Elementary Custodian, has been there forever.
Yes.
Miss Sandy Miller, who is a teacher assistant at Yates Primary School and also catches and does everything for the school.
Yes, you did.
And last but not least, for Stewart Elementary School, our classified staff member of the year and our district Classified Staff Member of the Year, Ms. Jalitza Farrer. Jalitza is a teacher assistant and nurse in the ERC classroom, and we got the opportunity to go out and share that celebration with her students. And if you want to know how important these folks are to their kids, all you have to do is walk in there and see how excited. That was the best part of probably my week that week, is seeing how excited they were for her. So congratulations to each of you, and thank you for your contribution to Cleveland City Schools.
One more picture. Just as a special celebration for you all tonight, for all of our designees, we've done banquets in the past, we've done various events, but what we decided to do this year was give each of you an extra personal day. So you're going to be getting an email soon with directions on how you can use that at your school. But we really appreciate the work that you do each and every day, and we're going to make sure that you get a personal day coming up soon. Sorry, you got to give her a day off. So she'll love it. So thank you all for coming tonight. You're welcome to stay, but also know you may have dinner plans or other events to get to that might be more exciting for you. So your choice. Yeah. Enjoy tomorrow. Stay safe. Thanks. I think everybody's about banqueted out. Take care. Good to see you.
All right, next on the agenda, I'd like to deal with the item that was removed from the consent agenda, the review annual agenda. I think, Krista, you removed that, so you want to start us out?
Yeah, I just had a question on actually a couple of entries, but primarily under February, under the Facilities Committee, it has a notation out to the side, 2 members and the director. And we're about to approve the policy on the Facilities Committee, and it lists that it's a 3-member committee made up of board members. So I'm afraid that that wording might be confusing. So I didn't know if we wanted to maybe just strike that 2 members and the director. I think what it may have been intended to say might have been 2 members and a chair of the committee. So if we wanted to change it to that, but I think it would be sufficient not to have a description. Not everything does have a description, so I don't know if it's beneficial to include that.
So what's your pleasure? Anybody opposed to that? If not, I'd like to entertain a motion.
What was the motion language change? What was that?
So I'll move that we strike from the February Facilities Committee item the words 2 members and the director.
I'll second that.
All right. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes. All right, next on the agenda is an item that is not on the agenda. However, it's from our previous meeting that we had for the special call meeting, and that is a revision for policy 5.802. And I would like for us to decide what changes we want to make for that. The change that was clear from the last meeting was on line 4, and changing that from 5 years of, or 3 years of successful experience in school administration to 5 years of successful experience in school administration. Are there any other additions, changes you want to make to this policy? All right, and so normally it has to go through a first and a second reading, but I want to entertain a motion to forego that and make this the second reading with that change as noted. Have a first?
Second.
Second. So we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, it passes. All right, next on the agenda, we have the first reading of policies, and I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Jody Riggins.
Thank you. I can't believe those people didn't want to stay and hear about our policies. Okay, we have 3 policies that are going to require some change. And all of these are because of Tennessee TSBA recommended it because of legislative changes. And so that's what these are about. The first one is about revenue, and you can see in red what was changed. Anybody have any questions, concerns about that? No? Okay. Second one is about fundraising activities. Again, these are TSBA recommended changes. Any questions, concerns? Okay, and the third one is adding debit cards to the credit card section. And again, these are TSBA recommendations.
I've got a question about one of those. It's the very last item on the policy, number 7. It says Cleveland City Schools will not be responsible for any processing fees. Fees shall be incurred by the customer. Who is the customer? Does that
Cindy,
mean-
do you want to come to the microphone and answer your questions on this?
So I would assume on this policy that that would be the same as sales tax. We would have an agreement beforehand that we would not pay those fees.
So it's whoever's.
Would be a vendor, whoever's using that debit card or credit card at the time.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay, any other questions or concerns?
Who is authorized to use the debit cards? Well, but I'm,
Yeah. So the credit card is, schools' principals, do they have credit card access? Okay, so this is talking about the district card. The district card, there's the one card for the director of schools to use based on,
Yes, the director of schools
What's out
has a
there?
credit card, and we have an additional one that's kept locked in the safe at the AOB.
this
It's
is
checked out.
talking about debit cards.
We do not have a debit card.
right?
So can we strike that then, if we don't have
That's-
debit cards?
We don't have a debit card now. This is, I guess, if TSBA is
wanted
recommending
one
if we wanted
in
one
the
or needed
future,
one
you
in
would
the
already have
future,
that
you could have
policy.
one. But right now, there are no debit cards that we use in the system. So you could strike that if you wish to, the first reading, and then come back in second reading and move forward, or
It just
however
seems
you
kind of
choose.
confusing. We have debit cards listed here, but we don't know who authorized to.
We don't have debit cards in the school
Right.
system at all
Yeah.
at this point.
I would assume though, or I would say, which I would not recommend a debit card. That's something that I would not be in favor of. But it would still be the same procedure. We would have one in our office, and the director of schools would have one. And they're all checked out. You have to check it out, tell me where you're going with it, and then check it back in with dates.
Yeah.
So,
I think it might be worthwhile having that policy in the event somebody were to make some movement toward getting a debit card. There's already that policy that would prevent them from being able to do that without the proper procedures and policy in place.
mhm.
Everybody's good? All right, so I would like to entertain a motion for first reading of policies for policy 2.400, 2.601, and 2.8051.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so I want to add some clarification here. This is not on the agenda, but when you guys see us read these policies, it may seem like this is the first time that we're seeing it because we don't have a lot of discussion here, but each board member takes time and goes through these outside of these meetings. And so we come already knowing what changes we want to make. So I just want to make sure that that is clear on that process. So, all right, next item on the agenda, social media lawsuit.
Okay. So at the TSBA conference this past November, one of the sessions was a session led by the France Law Group along with our attorneys' law group. And Chris McKay attended that and came back to the table just sort of talking about this. And we thought it might be a good idea just to make a presentation to the school board to see if you have any interest in possibly joining this lawsuit or not. I don't have a recommendation at this point myself.
Yeah,
Anything
I'm not necessarily promoting it. It's just something that was presented. Carolyn, were you in there with me, or it was Jody that was in there with me?
Okay.
We went not realizing that that's what the session was about, but it did end up being talking about this lawsuit, and I just wanted to share it with you, just so that there could be some discussion if there was interest, so that you were aware of it.
And we do have one of the attorneys, I believe, that's going to be zooming in to us right now, if that's okay with you to move into that part of that. And that way you can hear directly from the attorney that's representing on this lawsuit. And then we also have the litigation brochure that's part of your agenda.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, thank you all very much for the time this evening. My name is William Shinoff. I'm the lead attorney on this litigation from the France Law Group. To give you a little bit of background on this case, we've currently been litigating this case for over a year at this point. The defendants in this case are Meta, which is the parent company to Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube. And this case stems from a number of whistleblowers that came out from Meta to Congress a little over 2 years at this point. What they advised is that Meta and these other defendants have intentionally created addictive platforms for children, and that they have internally studied the harms of their platform, that it's created an increase in mental health issues with children. And even though that they've been aware of these issues that stem from their platforms, they have failed to make it safer for children. At the same time, your own Attorney General has been investigating Meta, and just a month and a half ago filed suit against Meta. His claim is more on consumer protection violations, but the background of the case is similar, which is the harmfulness of their product and the fraud to the public about their platforms being safe. This case is not a class action, so we're not having a couple school districts bring this on behalf of all the school systems across the country. This is what we call a mass action. So we actually file individual lawsuits on behalf of each one of our school system clients, and they've been consolidated into one courtroom in federal court in Oakland. At this point, I represent over 800 school systems across the country, over 30 in the state of Tennessee. And the goal of this case is twofold. So one is we are looking to obtain monetary relief. We want to obtain additional funding for school systems to be able to provide extra mental health resources to students. Just last summer, the U.S. Surgeon General put out an advisory, and the Surgeon General only does advisories when we're dealing with crisis situations. And what the U.S. Surgeon General advised was that we have a youth mental health crisis, in large part due to social media. And what he advised was that there needs to be changes. And so that's the other part of our case, which is we're trying to obtain injunctive relief against these defendants. And what injunctive relief is a federal court order requiring compliance by the defendants. Specifically, we want to change the way their algorithms work, so making it safer for children. So no more the pop-up notifications in the middle of the night, which is causing the restless sleep with children, the constant streams. And there are certain ways that their engineers can make it safer specifically for the youth. The other part that we're trying to obtain is greater parental controls over the platforms. You know, at the end of the day, social media is not going away, but we want to make it safer and give parents the ability to be able to control what their kids are doing on social media. So what we are trying to do is get parents the ability to control how much time their children are spending on social media. Because one factor that the U.S. Surgeon General advised was that the greater amount of time that children are spending on these platforms, that he's seen an increase in these mental health issues. And so, you know, a recent study showed that 25% of kids between the ages of 12 to 18 are spending 7+ hours a day on this platform. So not only are they doing this at home, but obviously at school as well, so it's causing a disruption to the learning environment as well. We also want to give parents the ability to control who their children are communicating with, because unfortunately the way that the algorithms work with Meta is that it does suggestion of friends, and that's how kids have been getting into contact with adults that they shouldn't be. And then finally, what we're also trying to do is create better communication between schools and these platforms, because what we've heard from school administrators across the country is when either they're dealing with a threat and they have to go and try to contact the platform to find out where the threat is coming from for campus, they can't get in contact with anyone, or they respond days later. The other issue they deal with is when they're trying to get posts removed from the platform that specifically are causing mental distress to students. And again, get no response from these platforms. So we want to make sure that these platforms have employees in place so there can be a better line of communication. So as I said, this is a mass action. We file these cases individually. The two main questions I get from school boards regarding this case is, one is the amount of time it will take staff to be involved in this case. So this is not normal litigation where there's going to be depositions of your staff or court appearances. All that will be required from the staff is to complete out a court-ordered discovery questionnaire, which will only take, I'd say, up to 5 hours of staff time to complete it. So the amount of time to be involved is not substantial. The other question I get is the cost to be involved. So we don't work on an hourly basis. We work on a contingency fee, which means that if there is no financial recovery for the school system, then there's no payment of fees or reimbursement of costs. So there's no financial risk to be involved. In addition to that, instead of working the standard in the plaintiff industry for working on litigation that's for trial would be 40%. However, we do it at a reduced rate of 25%, so more of the funds will end up going to the school system. We just recently wrapped up a case working for over 1,000 school districts across the country against Juul, which we were successful in. That's just now starting to bring funding into school systems to deal with vaping. The litigation is very similar. We've just recently had some very positive rulings in this litigation, and our goal is to hopefully get into trial in this case by the end of the year or beginning of next year. So with that being said, I wanted to keep it short because I know you have a long agenda, and open up to any questions that anyone may have.
William, thanks for coming. This is Matthew Coleman. Just a couple of questions. One, is there personal information of any of our client or any of our students or families that's going to be provided to you guys through this process? No student information is ever provided to us
or the defendants. The data that would be normally provided in a case like this would be board policies. If we're talking about, discipline issues related to social media, it's not going to be student information, it's going to be numbers. So for example, threats to campus, how many of those did you deal with in a school year? Cyberbullying, those type of issues. It will be just more on the general scale of numbers and not individualized.
At some point, could you disclose some of the Tennessee school systems that you guys represent, such that we might reach out to them and see what their experience has been?
Oh, absolutely. That would be no problem. And I'm working with local council as well, Lewis Thomason, and they have all the information as well. So either of us can provide that information.
Okay. Thank you.
Peggy Pesterfield. Can you tell us how many school districts in Tennessee have already joined this?
Right around 30 at this point.
30 at this point.
And all the, I can tell you all the larger ones, so Knox, Memphis, Nashville, Clarksville, they're all on board, and I have an entire list that I can provide.
That would be good. And are you contacting all the school systems now, and how long will you be contacting them to see if they will join this?
So Ms. Chris McCarty, from Lewis Thomason, I'm working with on this. As you're told, we presented at the School Board Association. With a case like this, with any lawsuit, when we're looking at timelines of when to join a case, when would be the best time, normally we look at what's called a statute of limitations. So that's when legally you have a right to bring a claim or it ends. But one of our major claims in this case is called a public nuisance claim. So that's when a corporation causes a harm to a community. And if the harm is ongoing, then there is no statute. So any school system can join this case at any time. However, in litigation like this, if there is a financial recovery, a judge is appointed to determine what each school system will get. One of the factors they look at is when did the school system join. And so, as I said, we're about to head 1 year in February. And so our recommendation is to try to get in probably before May, just to be on the safe side, because what happened, I can tell you in Jewel, is that there was a date that was chosen by a judge that there were reductions to school systems up to 80% who joined later on. So to avoid that risk, we always recommend to try to get in on the earlier side. So we're going to be, presenting to school boards probably all the way up to May to join on to this case.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Well, board, we're not looking for a vote tonight unless you want to take a vote tonight. Really just Kristen and I talked and had this presentation. And then if someone wants to put it on the agenda for next month or the month after, whenever, then of course you could bring that back. So if any board members are interested in bringing this back to the agenda, all you would need to do is just let me know, and then we can certainly do that.
I think it might be nice to reach out to our counsel at Lewis Thomason and get his insights on this, since
Right.
we're already with that firm.
Exactly.
Do you know if would we have to have city council permission to do something like this?
I can check on that. Not that I know of. I don't think we'd have to get that permission because you're the elected body that represents the school system. But we can verify that through our attorney, Chuck Cagle, as well.
Mm-hmm. I had one other question, not to him, but to us. Could we talk to our counselors? Could you talk to our counselors and find out whether they've observed any problems?
I would say that answer is yes.
Yes? Okay.
Absolutely.
So they could give us...
Just watching the principals out here when the presentation
Yes.
was happening, I could tell you yes to that.
So they could give
particular
us some
question.
examples and things?
Yes.
Privately?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
Okay. Well, just let me know by call or text or email, and I'll be glad to do whatever the board would want to do with this.
If there's a consensus to reach out to Lewis Thomason, then why don't we go ahead and identify someone or someone to get some information from him such that he could provide it to us?
Right. I know Dr. Elliott's been contacted, Chris McCarthy, so we can work together on that and get you the information that's been asked for tonight. Certainly can.
Great.
Any more questions or thoughts around that? All right, next on the agenda, we have Education Freedom Scholarship Act Resolution.
Okay, let me pull this up real fast. Maybe it'll pull up on the screen. Mine is not pulling up on my computer right now. Okay. For the school board, this is a draft resolution regarding the Education Freedom Scholarship Act that is going to be going in front of the Tennessee General Assembly very soon. We have not seen the actual bill at this point in time, so I can't tell you exactly what points are in there. But from speaking to people at Tennessee School Board Association, as well as the Tennessee Organization of School Superintendents, what a lot of school systems are doing are passing various resolutions regarding this Education Freedom Scholarship Act to send to the legislators before the legislative session gets into full swing. This is an opportunity for you as a school board to speak through a vote about your opinion toward this particular bill that's going to be going up. This is a draft. This is a version that is a starting point. You can either go with it as is if you want to do that at all, or you're welcome to go through the words and phrases and change whatever you'd like. I don't think you necessarily have to pass this tonight. If you passed it in February, that would be, I think, okay as well, but you don't know if the bill would already be passed by then too. So this is something that's completely within your domain to take it from here to see if this is something that you wish to do or not do.
So what's your pleasure?
I like the idea of having this resolution, at least stating our position on this, and making it known to our legislators as soon as possible. That's part of our responsibility as a school board, is to advocate for our community to our legislators. So I think that conveying how we feel would be beneficial, and to do that as soon as possible.
I agree.
Yeah.
Jody, would you?
I agree. I think we need to do it sooner than later.
Okay.
I definitely think we need to.
I agree. And, the name of this, if I can speak for just a second on it, the name of it somewhat is misleading, but essentially we're talking about the voucher program. Is that fair?
Correct.
And before I came onto this and got involved with the school system, I think this is heavily weighted on the Republican side of the House, and I think saw some statistics this week that that there's a significant majority of people outside the school system that have pushed this. And since being here and being involved in our school system, I have seen the problems that this is going to bring to public schools across the state. And I think that our community needs to be more educated on this, and my Republican friends out here should also be more educated on what may be the unintended consequence of it. If we think that many of the students are going to transfer with their voucher and go to a private school system, and think that nothing else is going to change, I think the effect will be that the private schools will increase their tuition to keep things the same. And so more than just this resolution, I'm speaking now in hopes that someone out in the metaverse is listening and will speak to their senators and congressmen and elected officials, that there would be a significant negative effect on our school systems, and may not have the positive effect that they oftentimes will expect out of this. And we've seen this through many of the mass legislations with college tuitions as well, have skyrocketed over the years simply because of giving those monies away. So I think this is a great step. I think we ought to do as much as we can to educate folks.
Do we plan to post this on our site if it's approved?
Yes. Once the board, if you decide to approve this, it will be sent to every legislator on the education committees, as well, of course, as our local representatives and senator. We'll put it on our website. It will go on the TSBA website, TOS website. So we will definitely make sure that the public is aware of your thoughts as a collective board on this particular legislation.
Dr. Dyer, you've been all over the state and talked to lots of people. What's your
Right.
recommendation?
My recommendation would be to speak as a board to this bill. This is a bill that has a lot of steam. There's a lot of money behind this from other sectors outside of public education, and public education needs support. And I think this is a vital step for us to take, for you to take as a school board. I've done things as a superintendent to express my thoughts, my opinions straight to our representative and our senator, as well as others that I know. But I think as a collective board, this would be a good move as well for you to take.
So we have a recommendation from the Director of Schools, Dr. Dyer, to move forward with this resolution. I'd like to entertain a motion.
I move that we send this resolution as soon as possible.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so it passes.
We will get that in the mail as soon as possible.
All right, the next item on the agenda is the Director of Schools evaluation document. And so this is the normal time of the year where we make changes, approve the evaluation document. But before we get into any discussions about that, I would like to state that this may be a moot point as we, for an evaluation, but I wanted to throw that out there so we can have this discussion. So, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts around this evaluation? Is it necessary to continue with doing this evaluation? And if so, are there any changes that we want to make to this evaluation?
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's part of policy that we are required to evaluate. So I think that going through with that is important. So yeah, and two, this instrument would also be something that might potentially carry over to the next year, and be a model or a set precedent of what that evaluation would look like. So I think it's worth discussing what that evaluation instrument looks like, not only for this year, but moving forward.
I thought it was a good evaluation. It was a new one, and we had different than what you had used before, and it was easy to use. Dr. Dyer, we evaluated you. What did you think of the question, of the things that we evaluated you on? Do you agree with it?
No, I think the evaluation that we use is fine. We have made this electronic now, which is going to make it even easier to complete and format. And I think, to speak just to Krista's point, I think of course it is board policy, so the only way you could not do the evaluation is if you waive that board policy for the evaluation, which is up to the board whether you want to do that or not. So that's something for the board to think through, but that's in your area of domain, not mine.
Would you suggest any amendments to it or changes?
No, I would not.
Okay.
When last fall, we discussed with the Cleveland commits and other things that we came in, having varying evaluation scales based on numerous factors that are objective criteria.
Yes.
I don't believe that or any of that has been incorporated into this evaluation, has it?
It actually has.
Okay.
When you go to Part B, which is the performance goals from the Tennessee Department of Education report card, you'll see 5 things there. 1, overall district score and designation reflecting the overall performance of the district across multiple performance indicators for all students and specific student groups. So what it's going to do is pull straight from the Tennessee report card, which is the model that is out there for the public, to judge whether we have been successful as a school system as deemed through the Tennessee Department of Education in these various domains or not, which would reflect directly to, are we implementing the instructional practices that we need to merit the higher scores on that report card.
So tied to that, that section, do I understand that, I think what I heard you say was that information that will populate, did you say that was section 8?
Section B, or Section 8, sorry,
Yeah.
it's a little small here, Section 8.
That's not anything we will manipulate, it's just pulled
It's
direct, it's
whatever,
populated with the department.
That's
It's tied
exactly,
to
whatever's on
and
the report card
reflects.
would come
Yeah.
straight into this, and then that would be that part of the performance evaluation.
I think that reading the writing on the wall with you not being here, this may be a fine policy to leave in place with that amendment that we've got under this Section 8. And then I don't think there's anything preventing us from bringing it back up at some later time once we have a new director of schools in place, if we want to revise that.
Right.
I would say to that, it would be great for us, and obviously we have a little bit of time, but to that point, it'd be great for us to solidify that because they'll know what they're coming in, being evaluated against, so.
And I do have a question about number 7, the personnel or personal characteristics.
Yes.
Where did that come from, or what's the rationale for including personal characteristics as part of a performance evaluation?
I think one of the things, and I'm going to kind of wrap this into maybe some of what you discussed at the 4:30 meeting, one of the things, if you use, for example, Tennessee School Board Association for your search, and I don't know what you're going to do there, they're going to ask the board to come up with characteristics. What are some characteristics of a future director of schools that you're going to be looking for? And these actually go back, I found an old document that had these from when I was going through the search, and that's where I put these down to go back to what that board approved at that point in time as some various characteristics that that board looked for. Now, these words can be changed to whatever you might want to change it to today or for the next superintendent, whatever the case may be, or you can strike that section out. But it's just a good way to think to go back to the original, what were you hired under, what were the thoughts then, and then say, okay, how are we matching up today?
Mm-hmm. So as I see it, we have really two things, the actual instrument as an item for a decision, and then also executing this instrument with Dr. Dyer. Anybody see it differently?
I know what. The instrument for his evaluation.
Right.
And then need to look at a new one for.
We can, but this could be the same instrument used.
Right.
So solidifying this is the standard, and then do we want to execute the standard against execute the evaluation for Dr. Dyer particularly? And we can deal with those separately, unless you don't want to at all. What's your pleasure?
Which one do you want to tackle first?
Let's tackle the instrument first.
I would be comfortable with passing or accepting that the instrument with the striking of number 7. I'm just not real comfortable evaluating somebody's personal characteristics as part of their job performance. I understand that we're going to have criteria for or characteristics we're looking for when we're searching, but in terms of evaluating performance, I'm not sure I'm comfortable with the personal characteristics, so I would move to pass that with that section being stricken.
Any other comments? All right, you want to submit that as a?
Yeah, I move to pass that with section 7 being stricken.
All right, we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes. All right, the next item is, do we want to execute, I keep using execute. We don't want to execute.
I'd like to stick around.
Do we want to evaluate Dr. Dyer using this instrument? Let's have a discussion about that.
What would be the purpose? Do we need to? I mean, if he's leaving and he's already decided to leave, what would be our purpose? Does he want us to?
Is that a question for me, or is it a
For
question
you,
in general?
yes.
It's really your prerogative. I mean, it's in your area to say whether you want to do that or not. By board policy, the evaluation would have to go. So the only way you would get out of doing that is by, like I said, going back in and waiving that policy, that specific policy dealing with the evaluation. What I have, and this is just in general terms, what I have noticed is if a superintendent is in a situation where I am, many times that does not happen, the evaluation, since that person is going to be leaving soon. But again, I'm okay either way. It's really what you as a board see as a purpose for doing that at this point.
So what's your pleasure?
So I'll say the opposite view of why we might want to do it is, in the past, the director's evaluation is also an opportunity for us to highlight what the accomplishments of the system are for the public, because it does become a public document, and it is a way of highlighting accomplishments that were achieved through the year of our schools.
Or would we be highlighting the accomplishments of Dr. Dyer?
And indirectly, the schools.
Indirectly.
I mean, like I said, I'm not promoting that that's the way to go, but that's the flip side of why you might want to do it.
Any other opinions?
I think we have a lot of fish to fry, and if we can just waive it this year, if he's gone, then that's just my humble side of it, but unless you want it to take with you to your next job, and that's.
He's already hired.
That part's taken care of,
Yeah.
but I appreciate it.
You know.
I just think we got enough on our plate, or with all of the other things that I would waive it. I would
I suspect.
suggest that we waive it.
To your point of why it would be beneficial, it is a tool for our next superintendent or director to look at and say, what things, should I look out for? But I'm sure through this screening process with them, they're going to learn a lot of our opinions about that.
Yeah, I wonder if we couldn't include that in our qualifications for the job. That these are the things that we're looking for, that we want a good score, in those areas.
So the topic for our discussion at this moment is, do we want to evaluate Dr. Dyer? So I would like to give an opportunity for someone to make a motion, or we'll move forward.
I would make a motion to waive it this year easily, if in fact that he gets his contract and is gone.
Okay, so you've made a motion to waive this. Are you referring to policy 5.803?
If that is the policy that requires us to do it, yes.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And so passes. All right. Next item on the agenda is the election of board officers. And I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Dyer.
Okay, so it is my job to run the election for board officers. We have two offices that are up. We have chair and vice chair. At this point, I will take a nomination for chair of the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education.
I would nominate Nate.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a first and a second for Nate Tucker. Do we have any discussion on that? Any other thoughts on that?
I do have to accept it, right?
I think you do. I'll take that as a yes. All right, so Mr. Tucker has accepted the nomination, and now we will take a roll call vote, and I'll let Andrea take that vote.
All in favor of Nate Tucker being voted as chair?
Let's see.
Okay. Matt Coleman,
Yes.
Carolyn Ingram,
Yes.
Andy Lay,
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield,
Yes.
He doesn't get a vote.
Kristen McKay,
Yes.
Jody Riggin.
Yes.
All in favor and all voted, 100%.
Okay, thank you. Congratulations, I think. And now we have vice chair as well. So we need a nomination for the vice chair of the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education.
I'd like to nominate Carolyn Ingram.
I haven't heard on them.
Okay, well, we have a nomination. Are you willing to accept that nomination?
Yes, I will.
Do we have a second? I'll second that. We have a second. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, let's take a roll call vote.
Roll call vote for Carolyn Ingram as vice chair. Matt Coleman?
Yes.
Andy Lay?
Yes.
Peggy Pesterfield?
Yes.
Nate Tucker?
Yes.
Kristen McKay?
Yes.
Jody Reagan?
Yes.
All right, well, congratulations to the officers for the upcoming year.
Should we clap for everybody?
Thank you, Dr. Dyer. The next item on the agenda is strategic plan focus.
Come on up.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you this evening about the ESL department in Cleveland City Schools. I feel like every year when I get up here, the number one thing that I say is we are continuing to grow, and we are certainly continuing to grow in terms of numbers of students and also in terms of numbers of staff. You can go on to the next slide. I love to start with the demographics just to show you kind of what the makeup of our district is, because I think that's really important to set the foundation for the work that we do. You can see that we currently, and I pulled these numbers right before Christmas break, have 1,663 students that have a multilingual background. That's a background of another language besides English or in addition to English. We have over 20 languages represented within Cleveland City Schools, and I have the top 8 listed here in order of prevalence. Spanish is the #1 language, but we also have a number of students that speak Ukrainian, Gujarati, Chuukese, Vietnamese, Russian, Chinese, French, and then numerous other languages as well. Going on to the next slide now, all of the students on the previous slide are not necessarily part of our English as a second language program. Many of those students demonstrate proficiency in English, but of those students, we work with 989 students that are considered English learners, and that currently makes up 17.3% of our Cleveland City Schools population. We currently have 28 ESL teachers that are working with these students, and if you notice, our students primarily, the bulk of our English learners were born in the United States or in Puerto Rico, but also are coming to us in high numbers from countries such as Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and then again Ukraine, and I've listed a number of other countries on the chart for you to reference. All right, going on to our next slide, I've provided information that shows you our English learners by school. I've got the school, the number of English learners, the percentage of the school makeup for that population of English learners, and then also the number of ESL teachers at that school. You can see that Arnold, Blythe Bower, Mayfield, and Stewart have high percentages. I mean, all schools relatively have high percentages, but those 4 are the highest. In terms of numbers of students, we have high numbers at Blythe Bower, at Cleveland Middle School, and at Cleveland High School. Demographic trends that we have seen over the past year, we have seen a 19.2% increase in our English learners from October of 2022 to October of 2023. That number grew from 825 students in October of 2022 to 989 when I pulled these numbers right before Christmas break. We had a 32.5% increase in newly arrived immigrant students that were born outside of the U.S., and you can see that that number grew as well. We have many students that are coming to us with interrupted formal education. We call those students SIFE students, and those numbers continue to increase. We do see that most of our students that come to us are from other countries are coming from Mexico, Guatemala, and Honduras, but I did calculate that we had students coming from 10 additional countries to those 3 just since August 1st of this past year. So lots of students, lots of growth. I did want to include a slide that kind of just gives you a tiny little bit of background into language acquisition theory and what it's like to actually learn another language. This slide is called Cummins iceberg theory, and it shows that the language that a student needs to communicate just on a basic level is really just the tip of the iceberg. That's your conversational English. And you can see that that takes 1 to 2 years to develop proficiency. But the language that a student needs to succeed in school actually takes 5 to 7 years to develop proficiency. And I think that's an important piece of research to understand when we're looking at what we do as a school system. Okay, so within the ESL department, we do a lot. We have a lot going on. I feel like we sort of center that support that we provide in 3 areas. We have our student support, we have our teacher support, and we have our family support. Under student support, I wanted to highlight that we work on individual learning plans for our students. We make sure that all of our students have goals, and we help our students work to meet those goals. We're providing lots of specialized groups for our students. We're providing lots of specialized support for our students in their content area classes. We want to make sure that our students participate in tutoring opportunities, in summer school. We have specialized software for our students to use. And then one number that I thought was particularly interesting was that in 2023, we graduated 60 English learners or former English learners from our program. So I thought that was great in the area of student support. Go back one more slide. Go back to my slide previously. Okay, under teacher support, we want to make sure that our teachers are prepared to teach our students with the instructional strategies that they need. We have a program called Elevation Strategies that we use to train our teachers, and you can see we have lots of training going on in that area. We have provided family support this year with adult English classes, and then also we have provided several literacy nights at our schools. These have been really neat opportunities where they have participated in family activities using glow lights. They've turned the lights out, and our team that has worked on this has, all of the activities have a glowing aspect to them. So you can see the picture on the last page will kind of represent that. Just a little touch of fun there. All right, and then finally, our last slide. Let me grab some water. Okay, so on this one, I wanted to highlight for you a really neat project that has taken place at Cleveland High School this year. This was a capstone project done by a student named Heidi Seaborn, and she's just working, as our seniors do, on special projects, and she decided to interview newcomer English learners at Cleveland High School to kind of give them a voice and share their stories in the form of articles. These articles have been published in the Raiders This Week at Cleveland High School. The teachers have gotten to read these and see these and learn about the students. They're anonymous. These are not the real names of the students. But the one that I chose to highlight tonight was an article called Meet Chloe, Navigating a New Life in America. And the full article is available with the links at the bottom. And I'm hoping you can access those. If not, maybe Andrea can share those with you. But Chloe is a student that immigrated to the United States from Honduras. And she had to discontinue her education after 6th grade. Her family did not have enough money for her to continue to attend school. Her father was working at a sewing factory in Honduras, and she said that the desire to learn English was one of the main things that prompted her family to move to the U.S. I thought it was really neat because the student was able to get a couple of details from Chloe. She figured out that Chloe is really proud of the grades that she is making right now. She said that she actually is an extrovert, but then when she has to speak in English conversations, she feels like an introvert. And I thought that was so telling. It just really captured the essence of what that student is feeling. And that her ultimate goals are to achieve fluency in English, to work to help her parents, to graduate from high school, to study to become a nurse, and to relocate to New York City, then to work eventually. Actually, we probably would hope that she would stay here and be a nurse. But I wanted to share this with you tonight because I started with the demographics and the numbers. And we look at those numbers, and I think what we need to do is make sure that we turn those numbers into a focus on our students and who our students actually are, what our students need from us as a school system, and then what we can do to provide that to our students. So that's why I wanted to share the story of Chloe with you and let you know that her story represents so many others throughout our school system. So as always, I appreciate the opportunity to come before you and share about the work that we're doing within our department. We're proud of our students. We're proud of our teachers that really just dig in and embrace this challenging area of work. And I really always appreciate the support that you give us. If you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those. Yes.
I think you all do a fantastic job working with our students, and children can learn a language so much faster than adults, and they do very well. But the question I have is, what point are they required to take the TCAP scores, the TCAP test, and the scores, go in with our scores that determine whatever grade we get from the state?
Okay, so students in their first year in U.S. schools, actually all students have to take the TCAP regardless of when they come to us. But if they are in their first year in U.S. schools, the TCAP score does not count into the accountability measure.
The first year?
The first year. In the second year, it counts in terms of their growth, but not in terms of achievement. And then in year 3, that would be the year that everyone's scores count, both for achievement and for growth.
Well, I just want to say, I taught French. I took French for 4 years in college, and I don't really think you can pick up a language and be able to make the scores that other kids do in 2 years. And the more students that you have that are ESL students, the lower your scores are going to be. But I don't think we get any benefit or from the state showing that we have a high percentage of ESL students.
Well, I think I wanted to include this slide on language acquisition to show that research does support that it takes 5 to 7 years to develop that academic language proficiency.
I would hate to go to France and have to take one of their tests.
Thank you.
But I can still communicate. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question. I just wanted to thank you for your presentations. Every year, they're so very informative. Love to see all of the numbers and all of the languages that are represented, but I especially appreciate you individualizing it this year. That was really helpful.
Okay, thank you.
Christy Duncan's a leader across the state in this field. She does a fantastic job, so thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to mention one other thing. Yes.
I guess you need me when.
Christy, I would want to say one other thing. I've told parents, the parents of these students, speak Spanish or whatever your language is to your kids, because the kids will pick up English the right way in their classes in school, and they'll pick it up very quickly.
Yes, and we really encourage the use of that home language because developing literacy skills in both languages and developing bilingual students is really what our goal is. We want to strengthen the English skills, but hopefully without losing the native language.
But it'll be such an advantage for them to be bilingual.
Yes,
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Christy. Okay, we have a couple other items on the agenda, and I know we've been here a little while, so if you feel like you need to stand up to stretch, we're still going to do business, so go ahead and do that. Okay. Next item is the Cleveland Connects.
All right, good evening, everyone. First of all, as we get started with the Cleveland Connects, I do want to introduce a great team that's working and leading the charge with Cleveland Connects, and they're here tonight, and I appreciate them staying through this board meeting for this moment. We have here Dr. Danielle Scarth, who's a part of our team, a behavior specialist that joined us a few years ago through a grant, and then last year the board was able to approve that position into our admin group and working specifically focused on behaviorals with our students. Also, we have Alicia Cars, who this year, because of this grant that we'll talk about in just a moment, joined us again in Cleveland City Schools. She had served as an assistant principal over at Stewart and Arnold for a few years, and now she's back with us, leading us as the well-being specialist. We're really focused on that Tier 1 behavior, but also overseeing this grant that I'll share with you in just a moment. We also have with us Laura Vacherez. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and we were so glad to be able to find her this year, and she joined our staff to help us out. And so a lot of the things that we talk about when we say Cleveland Connects is just about the behavior and focus and support for our students, their families, and the teachers, and we've heard that over the years. So we'll go through this presentation and we'll talk about that in a quick manner. I remember Dr. Scarth a couple of years ago shared this quote with us, and I just wanted to begin with this because 2 years ago we were looking at this coming out of the pandemic, and a lot of information was happening, and it was schools need to invest now in the mental health and well-being of our kids. And the main quote is it's for all students, because we knew the traumatic behavior that was occurring after the pandemic and going through that, and it was affecting everybody, not just a select group of students. So we set out, and then the next slide, moving forward, is to check out what we were hearing from our staff. And so 2 years ago, in 2021, we sent out a staff survey to our teachers and wanted to know, what is that? What does that look like? And these are some quotes that came from that. I have seen an increase in adverse behaviors in our children just in the recent years. Over the past year, I've seen an increase in frustrations. And goes on, and we continue to hear the last quote there says, our district needs additional supports in place to adequately combat extreme behaviors in the classroom due to trauma and social emotional deficits. So we heard that, and you guys helped us out with that, and then continuing on then to the next slide, we really took a look at that, and we added a program last year in 2022-23 based on that input to really focus in on our K-5 students. We were seeing an increase of these behaviors at the K-2 level, K-5 level, really. And so at Stewart Elementary School, we were able to add a position with a staff and an assistant, a teacher and an assistant, to help lead the charge. And again, our district specialist, Danielle Scarth, helped us really put this together. Project TAB standing for trauma and behavior. And so we really took a strong leap into that last year, had that classroom. You can see there 38 total students received intensive support through this that were identified from each of our schools and then funneled through this program at Stewart Elementary to help really meet the need of each student going through these traumatic behaviors. The next slide. The focus of it was when we set out to start this, the goal was we wouldn't max it out at all, hopefully not 10 students. I don't think we ever got anywhere close to that, did we, Danielle? No, we didn't. But we left for 2 emergency placement spots. It could be focused on general and special education students, and the intent is a 4 or 6 week program placement where there was intense work with the student, communication with their family, and also working with the teacher that was back at the elementary school that had the student originally in the classroom, so that the goal is to integrate them back in, but to really focus in on the extreme trauma and behavior. So fast forward, after last year in our experience, we were continuing to do a lot of work. They've done some great work, continued this year. We move on to the next slide. Last spring, we continued to hear, after the last year and a half, we continue to hear the need for additional supports in our schools. Through ESSER funds, we were able to add social workers and positions like that. That's been very beneficial. We have 3 of those positions now in Cleveland City Schools through ESSER funds. But the question that came about is we came across a grant that was being offered at the federal level, but allocated through the state. And the grant really was going to help us support this even further. So we had to move forward quickly in the spring. And so in May, we used thought exchange. Here's a thought exchange question. And the question was wide open. How can Cleveland City Schools assist you in creating a safer and healthier learning environment to promote the positive well-being of our students? And we asked our teachers that. And they filled it out. We had 147 participants, as you see right there. And they rated, out of those 147 participants, the great thing about thought exchange, just aside, is 2,070 ratings. So 147 participants could take the thoughts that were being generated and feedback, and then they could give us additional feedback through some rating systems. And you can see on the next slide, these came to the top. Certified behavior consultants are badly needed to assist teachers and students. We've got to remember you must Maslow before you bloom, and so really getting into these behavioral situations and continue to support our teachers when severe and disrupted students are in our classroom. So you can see this was rising to the top again in spring of 2023. And the last piece of this was we really need help with student behaviors and behavioral support. SROs even chimed in and said, and this was coming in, as you know, as we were literally looking at the safety bills and things that were coming out in legislation. So this came to the top as well. So we were excited to apply for a Stronger Connections grant. I think there were 58 applicants, or in the 50s when I was on a call, and 18 districts in Tennessee received this grant, $1.1 million for 3 years, to really support our teachers, our students, and our families. And as you can see, the 4 components of that. The first component was really to focus on the help what our students need. The second was to help provide professional development and support to grow capacity with our staff here. The third one is parent and family engagement. What are some ways in the next 3 years that we can help support our families? We have some great ideas our team's working on over here, but this is the first year of it, and we really want to engage those families and provide some resources to help them out at home, but to support that transition here into the school. And then improving climate and culture. Laura Hudson was here earlier as well, part of our health team, and she had to slip away, but she and Danielle Scarth have really worked hard on doing some things to promote strong culture in our schools. We'll go through quickly the next 4 slides. You guys have these, I believe, but the first one was the mental health and social competency supports. And this year, over the next 3 years, we're really diving deep into tier behaviors and looking at that. Again, Alicia Cars is going to help us out a lot with that, and she already has. Right there, you can see the 3 tiers. We have Tier 1 support, school counselors, social workers, and care solace for all our students being a resource. Tier 2, our school counselors. Thank you. Last year at budget time, you guys helped us out with adding additional school counselors. That's been a welcome by all our people. School-based therapists, and then Tier 3 support. As we mentioned earlier, we have a crisis intervention counselor, and we use other outsources such as youth villages, and you can see there. The last few slides here, the second one is we want to build the capacity of our staff. We want to give them the skills. We want to help provide the training, and as they ask for it, we want to do that. We're excited to partner with Lee University this summer. We're going to offer some strategy training. We know that our teachers have had a lot on their plate this year and continue to do great things, but we are going to provide opportunities this summer for training for those teachers who would like to grow in this area. The third goal, as we mentioned earlier there, was about support for our families. And if you can, we'll go on to the next slide. Parent and family engagement. We're creating videos. We're doing monthly newsletters going out to families in the mid-month Ms. Cars is helping us out with, and we want to continue to look at different ways. Last month, you guys approved, because we do have it in this grant, to help with a community engagement coordinator that's going to be placed at Cleveland Middle School to help us reach out to some of those families. And the fourth one, as we finish up, again, we know that the climate and culture is so important in our schools and with our staff and our families and our students. We want to keep that as positive as we can, and so we have a lot of great things in store and in focus as we move through the next 2.5 years of this grant. And so that's what Cleveland Connects is about. I'll be happy, and our team will be happy to answer questions as we go along the next 2.5 years, or tonight, or whenever. But we're here. We're excited about the work. We are proud that Cleveland City Schools was a recipient of this Stronger Connection grant for $1.1 million. Any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Ellett.
Thank you.
All right, next on the agenda, we're going to have an update from Miss Ava Davis, which is our student representative.
Hello, everybody. I'm glad to be back. Last time I was sick, so I wasn't able to be here and give you the December update, but here I am in 2024, so I'll go ahead and get started. So just a sports update is that basketball season has started, as well as wrestling season and swim season. So far, everything is going amazing. The CHS boys wrestling team is ranked #1 in the state and 37 in the nation. And then our girls wrestling team is also ranked #1 in the state and #6 in the nation, which is a testament to our wrestling program. As we know, it's very, very good, and we're very proud of them. So we had some fun things happen over December for Christmas. Speaking of wrestling, we had Santa versus the Grinch, which was very fun to watch. That was hilarious, watching some of my fellow classmates dress up in those silly costumes and then come straight from there to the Bradley-Cleveland game, the basketball game, so that was fun. And then also the Renaissance Show Choir and then Ebony and Ivory Show Choir did their Christmas performances. And then while we're on the topic of the fine arts, theater is doing some amazing stuff this month. So January 20th and 21st are Performance Showcase, which features a lot of students in like performing a scene, a skit, I think musical theater performances, and then also a play written by a student at CHS, which is an incredible opportunity that Mr. Markham gives us. And then also this upcoming weekend, we will be taking a trip to MTSU and going to ThesCon, where a bunch of students, including myself, will be performing in a competition and to become an all-state thespian, and then also taking a bunch of workshop classes to improve our acting skills. Another fun thing we have coming up this month is our winter court, which is something that Cleveland High School hasn't done before. I know that Walker and Bradley both do. I don't know if it's Valentine's Court, but they always have something during basketball season. So Cleveland is doing that this year, and we're very excited. A lot of my friends are on there, so it'll be fun to see them all get dressed up and go to the dance at some point. I think that's January 27th this month. And then on the academic side, we have January 10th and 11th. The FAFSA has officially opened today, so all of us seniors will be needing to fill that out this month, where we will be getting aid from some of the teachers at the school and the counselors on January 10th and 11th. And then on January 17th, we're going to have some of the CTE students visit CMS and talk to the 8th graders about what all Cleveland High School has to offer, because we have a ton of different courses. Thankfully, it makes it very easy to get an idea of what we want to do in the future due to that. And then on January 25th, we have the Raider Palooza for the upcoming 8th graders from 5 to 7 p.m.
Thanks, Ava. We appreciate that update.
You're welcome.
And I had no idea you were an actor.
Yes, I am.
Actress,
Many
my bad,
things.
I'm sorry. Actress. All right, so next item on the agenda, site committee, do we have anything?
No,
Christie?
just a reminder that we do have a site committee meeting, or facilities committee meeting, set for February 1st.
February 1st.
February 1st.
All right, and the last item on the agenda, legislative update. Do we have anything, Ms. Ingram?
Yes, I don't know how many of you are aware of the legislative conference, February 12th and 13th, and it's always really keeps us up on what's going on with the legislators right now as they go back to work. So if you could go, I'm sure it's not too late to register.
Thank you. All right, so that is the end of our agenda. I'd like to entertain a motion to close this meeting. Do I get a second? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, the Cleveland City Schools Board of Education meeting will end at 7:16.